Sean Hook's Newsmaker Saturday starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Newsmaker Saturday. I'm Christina Carilla in for John tonight. First, we're talking about the global supply chain crisis right now. Gas prices are up, food prices are up, and as the holidays approach, people are being told to buy gifts now. They could be gone by the time you're ready. Cargo disruptions at the ports causing a major backlog, and that's driving up inflation. Before we bring in tonight's guest, here's Fox's Doug Luzader to further explain what's going on right now.
There are backups in major U.S. ports, truck driver shortages, you name it, and the economic pressures are piling up. If you've noticed that Halloween supplies are in short supply right now, just wait until Christmas.
Start to put your Christmas list together and holiday list together early. Get those must-have things now because they definitely will be in short supply because we're seeing a shipping crisis like we've never seen before.
Trying to find decorations, they're sold out.
Why so many empty shelves? U.S. ports are backed up. Container ships are offshore waiting to unload. Truck driver shortages are adding to the problem.
We have 80,000 containers on our terminal right now. If we line those up end to end, that would be about 600 miles of containers.
We're making consistent, steady progress.
None of this, including inflation, is helping the markets after another down day on Wall Street. And anyone facing a lengthy shopping list this holiday season should brace for some tough decisions ahead.
There'll be merchandise to buy. The question is the top 5 or 10 things on your list, the things that your kids want or you want, are the same things that everybody wants. And those are going to be in much shorter supply than other products that are on the shelves.
And it's not just Christmas. With food prices on the rise, the cost of Thanksgiving dinner is going up as well. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
It's all everyone is talking about right now. Joining us now to talk further about this, Dale Rogers, ASU professor and leading researcher in the fields of reverse logistics and sustainable supply chain management. Dale, thanks for being with us.
Nice to be with you.
Of course. So, I mean, this is your area of expertise. You're passionate about this topic. You've been studying it for a very long time. Is it fair to say that this is a crisis? How dire is this situation?
I think that's a fair question. Now, the report you just showed kind of simplifies it down to minimize the problem to some extent, which is much larger. The backup at the ports is a big issue, but really it's only a small part of the issue. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on at the same time. And basically what we have is an entire systems failure. Supply chains, global supply chains are made up of a bunch of different pieces. And we've had huge downswings and then upswings in demand. At the same time, we're seeing the crisis, the pandemic, roll across the world at different rates at different times, and we're in a pretty tough spot, not just because of the ports, which is a big problem, but because of a bunch of other things as well.
Yeah, they're saying that 11 days is the average wait time to unload at the port in LA, which is responsible for much of the goods across the country. I think they said somewhere around 40% at least. So it's a major area. We have these barges coming in, and then there's nobody on the dock to take the goods off the ships. And then there's nowhere to put them because there's so many things in these warehouses. I mean, there's so much of an issue over there. What is the answer here?
Well, we really are having troubles with several things at once. The Trump trade policies where we put tariffs on things coming in from China really caused China to pivot away from us. We're buying more than we ever have from China and the rest of Asia. At the same time, where they're not buying as much, and surprisingly, President Biden is continuing on with the Trump trade policies, which has resulted in an even greater imbalance in the traffic flows. We're getting a lot of stuff coming from Asia to the U.S. more than ever, but we're seeing much reduced traffic going back the other way. And that's a cause of a real problem, because you need ships to be able to bring stuff here. You need containers to be able to bring stuff here. We need chassis to pick the stuff up once it gets here and put it on a train or a truck. And there's just many places where the supply chain is broken down. You know, the factories in Vietnam have mostly been shut down for the last 10 weeks. Mm-hmm. The third busiest port in the world, Ningbo, which is in China, was shut down for more than a week because of one case of COVID. And so we're seeing several different sort of systemic breakdowns, and those keep having ripple effects as it moves through the supply chain.
Yeah, there's those issues as well with COVID. And then, of course, the truck workers. We don't have many people that are driving trucks right now. So that's an issue as well.
Well, the only people that really want to drive long haul trucks and be away from their families and friends for a week or two, there's not very many people your age. They're mostly guys my age, and guys my age are leaving the workforce. So it is a big issue, and there's a lot of innovative ideas around how do we get young people to be willing to drive a truck. But truthfully, young people are really questioning, how they work and the jobs they take all across the board. And there's not many people that look at truck driving, even though you make a decent living, as really something you want to do. You end up typically divorced with a bad case of diabetes. And so we're really seeing questioning of anybody about driving a truck to under 60 years old.
Yeah, President Biden spoke about encouraging states to speed up licensing for truck drivers to try and get more people out there on the road, to try and get these goods out of the ports and out of the warehouses. Do you think there could be something where we see maybe states like Arizona take in more of those goods to house them over here because they're running out of space in places like California?
Well, it's hard to I don't think Arizona is likely to be the first place. We do need to develop an America's solution that's a counterpoint to the traffic coming from Asia. So eventually, Arizona could be a great place. But you don't want to put products on a train and then just ship it the short distance into Arizona. Unfortunately, also here in Phoenix, we don't really have good rail structure. The two main railroads, one goes to Tucson, the other goes to Flagstaff, and we're sort of a rail cul-de-sac. So I don't anticipate that. We are seeing a huge increase in warehousing in the Phoenix area, but that's primarily to serve this incredibly fast-growing Phoenix market. So I don't really think that it's that likely that to get it out of that whole Eastern California. We've already seen a fair amount of movement from the port area out to the desert in Eastern California. We see Reno, Nevada being a big place where there's a fair amount of warehousing, and because of the good rail moves, Salt Lake City even increasing. But I don't think it's that likely we're going to see a lot of stuff come to Arizona, and if it does, Phoenix is less likely than maybe Tucson or Flagstaff.
The Biden administration speaking on this, and they're calling on the ports now to operate 24/7, at least in California, to get things moving, calling on the private sector to step up and help out and work longer hours, have more workers come in there and get things done. Is this the answer? Will this work? How long could this take to get things on track?
I don't think it is the answer. My oldest son, who is also a supply chain professor, we just did an interview together about an hour ago, and he likens the problem to being you're going down a road, maybe like Scottsdale Road or Hayden, where there's not one stoplight, but there's 10 stoplights. And so maybe you get through the port issue, but there's a bunch of other problems as well. So fixing the ports probably doesn't really matter. And actually, the Port of LA and the Port of Long Beach have had pilot programs where the workers are working longer hours. I mean, part of the issue is the unions across the United States have gotten a lot weaker over the last 40 years, except for the unions that sit at the ports, the gateways to the U.S., where they've actually gotten stronger. And so there's been some pilot programs, but honestly, not a lot of shippers or carriers or logistics companies have taken advantage. So we could turn those ports on 24/7, but that's not really an answer. It would be getting through one stoplight, but not all 10 that you see on Scottsdale Road.
If you had the ear of the administration and the president and you could make any suggestions, what would your suggestion be to kind of solving this problem right now?
You know, they really need an understanding of how global supply chains work. Honestly, I've been really disappointed in the Biden administration. You know, the Trump tariffs were crazy, and I thought, well, maybe if somebody else gets elected, we'll see a change in that, and we really haven't. And at the same time, China is pivoting away from the U.S. because we don't seem that reliable anymore, and they're our main source. I mean, we do need to come up with other geographical places where we can source product at a rather low cost and efficiently. But to just turn off the taps from China didn't really make sense. And to continue those policies really doesn't make sense. I'm hoping that there's an America solution. We had a piece in Harvard Business Review. You can go to hbr.org and see the case for a Pan-American manufacturing solution, which I hope we get to. But there's a whole lot of stuff that has to happen, and it's not going to happen very quickly. And we're sort of stuck in a tough spot. Now, a global recession would slow some of these problems down, but we don't want that to happen. That's happened before, a little over 10 years ago, and we certainly don't want that to happen again. So it's really an interesting time where the whole world is looking for products and services. Certainly, we are in the U.S., and there's a bunch of breakdowns in all the steps in the supply chain. So you can get through one red light, but you can't get through the other 9 very easily.
Yeah, that analogy checks out. All right, Dale Rogers, thank you for your input. ASU professor, we appreciate your time and everything you have to say tonight. Thanks.
Nice to be with you.
Thank you. All right, we're back with more after this break. You're watching Newsmaker Saturday. Welcome back to Newsmaker Saturday. The pandemic closed the curtain on Broadway and put the lives of performers and artists all around the world on hold. Now, despite COVID-19 sticking around for longer than many people had hoped, events are coming back. Shows are back on Broadway and right here in the Valley, and perhaps they are bigger and better than ever. Joining us now to talk about this, local actor and director at the Don Bluth Front Row Theater in Scottsdale, Cheryl Scharr. Cheryl, thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, let's talk about you. So you've been directing for a while. You've taught drama as well, also a performance background on the stage too. So what was this like during the pandemic, during COVID, when things shut down?
It was, of course, so stressful. We had one show, that we had a one-woman show in January of 2020. And then to add to the whole insanity, our building was sold out from under us. And in March, we were told we had to get out. So then we were thrown into trying to find a place. So what we did for the last year and a half was find a place, get an architect, build it. So what looked like it was going to be the end of our world, of course, turned out to be the best thing that could happen, because now we have a beautiful space. Yeah. It was incredible dealing with, that's not my thing. I'm on stage or backstage dealing with architects and the city councils. Look at that we have a box office. I mean, we're so excited. So what turned out to be, there's always a silver lining. And this was ours. We got the theater of our dreams.
Yeah, I think maybe in some way there's been such a renewed energy. I was just on Broadway recently for the first week that it reopened, and it just seemed to me like the performers were it was just different, so incredibly grateful, and there were standing ovations at the beginning of the show, which is kind of like unheard of. Do you notice the same?
Absolutely. When we come out on that stage and just say we're back, everybody immediately breaks into applause, because live theater is so important. We need the arts. We need all the arts. And Don Bluth likes to say that when you enter the theater and you listen to a production, in the dark, sitting there, your molecules are being rearranged. And when you leave that theater, you leave a different person. You're hopefully inspired, uplifted, encouraged. And we need that badly right now. We need that. And I would say 99% of our audience is totally on board. They understand that in order for us to move forward with live theater, we need to wear a mask. And they all are grateful that we are going along with that in order to open, to bring theater to. We are now trying, I'm in rehearsal right now with our cast of It's a Wonderful Life. And up until this point, we've kept very small casts. Mm-hmm. But we feel like we can go ahead and do a larger cast and bring the whole story of George Bailey, who needs to find out what life would be like if he weren't there. We found out what life is like without theater, and we know now we need it.
Yeah, what is it like getting back on the stage and back into rehearsals? What is it like with your cast, your crew? Tell me about that.
Oh, well, it's been absolutely amazing. Because we only have one space, we have rehearsals on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we have shows on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So everybody has been more than willing to we're crash burning through this. We have rehearsal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, we'll be in there before the show starts for the matinee to get where we need to be in order to open for November 18th. And this is the 7th year that we have done this production. It's sort of, the Hale does Christmas Carol, and we do It's a Wonderful Life. And it's become, a tradition for families to come and see this as part of their holiday tradition. And not being able to do it last year, not even being able to dream of it, it's just been coming back. It just feels like we've made it. And I believe we're all better for it, because, like you say, we're more appreciative, and we understand how important it is for us to get together and share in these kinds of regular activities for families to take advantage of. And we want to be there for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure so many of these actors, these performers, and everyone involved, just so grateful to be working and following their passion, fulfilling their purpose. Without that, I can imagine feeling lost in some way.
If you've ever, I'm sure you have been on stage, and when you cannot do it, it's one thing. Just being a part of the audition process is you may get it, you may not, but you're living in the arts. You're giving it a try. And to not even be able to audition, no, everybody is shut down. And then we opened up, we did a one-man show, then we did a three-man show. You're seeing a picture of a bench in the sun there, which we did as a remount. Everybody vaccinated, everybody willing to come out. There's Kill Socrates, a comedy, which was an Arizona premiere, actually a world premiere. So we're just hitting the ground running with these shows and understanding that our choices are so important, and Don wants to make sure that our shows are uplifting and that you're looking for the good and that people leave feeling uplifted somehow. And these amazing actors, I'm just smiling at them all because just the camaraderie that happens within a cast.
Yeah.
And because everyone's there because they love it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's so amazing to see and to feel when you go to watch the shows as well. It's palpable, you can feel it. But tell me about the theater itself. It starts with Don Bluth, who of course has an animation background, very successful with Disney and so many other areas as well. It's pretty amazing. And then this front row experience, what's that about?
Well, Don Bluth, you're right. He has a history. In fact, he's still involved in animation. He's working on movies even as we speak, and he's also writing his memoirs. And the theater has always been a passion of his, and it started out in his home. I was lucky enough to be able to perform in his home. He could seat 45 people in his living room. Got a nice big living room. And we did The Sound of Music there. We did Blythe Spirit. We did The Wizard of Oz. And then eventually it became obvious that we need to actually create a real theater where people aren't coming into your home all the time. That's not cool. The wear and tear on his bathrooms, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's absolutely the dearest man, and all his life, he's always been involved in animation since he was a child and watched Snow White and was absolutely, that just did it for him. I want to do that. But when he became an adult, he's always loved live theater and had a live theater in California with one of his brothers. And then, so he always loves what the live experience can bring to you. Because like he says, you're looking at all these drawings on the screen, and that put together makes a film that you can enjoy. But live theater, that one moment in time that you're sharing it with that actor on stage, I can't tell you how much I honor and am so proud to be a part of his theater, and that he lets me direct some shows and occasionally be in one, and it's just really a pleasure and an honor to be part of the Don Bluth Front Row Theater. And that's where the front row became, because you were literally in his front row in his living room, in his front room. And so he wanted it to feel like everybody was in the living room with him, watching like a fly on a wall.
That's incredible. I love that. How can people get involved, and how can they find tickets to your show coming up the end of November?
Oh, I just love you, Christina. Thank you. Yes, they can go to donbluthfrontrowtheater.com. You can call 480-314-0841 and to get the box office. But we have this new slick art ticketing system that we also got from the Move. We're able to upgrade, and it makes it much easier for people to just buy tickets. Tickets are on sale now for Bell Book and Candle, or as I keep saying, Bed Bath & Beyond. I keep and It's a Wonderful Life tickets are on sale right now, and they go fast because we only seat 66 at this particular the way the stage is concocted. Okay. So get your tickets fast if you can, and come see some amazing performances just pour their heart out for you. And oftentimes you'll get to see Don shows up and often does the greetings, and hopefully he hopes to be back more and more, but he has just been so busy. And so he's stuck with me. I get to do the greeting every night. All
right, well, that sounds amazing. We hope to go out there and see it at the Don Bluth Front Row Theater. Cheryl Scharr, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Christina. You are just delightful.
Oh, thank you. You as well. Take care.
Thanks.
All right, you're watching Newsmaker Saturday. We're back after this. Thanks for watching Newsmaker Saturday on Fox 10. You can head to fox10phoenix.com/newsmaker for more episodes. I'm Christina Carilla. Have a good night.